Hi, my name is Elise, and you're listening to Chatterbox Island English Podcast. Welcome back to Chatterbox Island English Podcast. I'm your host, Elise. If you're new to this podcast, hello and welcome. This is an all-English podcast, but we don't talk about grammar rules or vocabulary like other English learning podcasts. Instead, we just talk about some easy and everyday topics. And I usually put all the keywords of each episode in the description, so feel free to check it out if you want to. And I hope you'll find this show interesting. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoy the content. So for today's episode, we're gonna talk about music. Well, not actually the music itself, but how you listen to music. Now, if I ask you this question like maybe 10 years ago, your answer might be with CD or MP3 players. But if I ask you this question 20 years ago, your answer might be cassettes or Walkmans. And if I ask you this question 30 years ago, your answer might be vinyl records. But now if I ask you how you listen to music, I'm sure most of you guys will say Spotify, Apple Music, or KKBox, which are all streaming platforms and have now become the major way that people consume music. So in the past, people can buy physical or digital albums and download them to your own computers or cell phones. But music streaming platforms have now changed the entire music industry and market. So most people no longer pay for certain albums or songs. Instead, they pay for the services that allow them to listen to all the music on the platforms. Now, I personally experienced the transition from buying physical albums or music and downloading them into my own computer or MP3 players to pay monthly subscription fees on Spotify. And I gotta say, it was weird for me at first because I wasn't familiar with the concept of subscription service. I remember using KKBox for the first time when the streaming services were not so popular, and I just couldn't understand why I had paid for the music, but if I stopped paying, then I couldn't listen to it anymore. I remember feeling like, then what's the point of paying if I can't actually buy the music permanently? But with digital music and internet becoming more and more popular and accessible, music streaming platforms seem to become a more efficient way to prevent people from downloading music from the internet or pirating music illegally. And it has also contributed billions of dollars to the music industry. Also, if you have been using any music streaming service, you'll notice that it will recommend new artists or songs to you regularly based on the music that you listen to on the platform, which makes some people spend more time on listening to new music. In other words, the algorithms have actually made some consumers consume more music and allowed small artists to grow their popularity online, when in reality, they don't have a lot of marketing resources. So according to a study done by Hannes Dada from the Department of Marketing in Tilburg University about how online streaming affects music consumption and discovery, an average of 27 artists are discovered per month by an individual user, which means Spotify actually expands consumers' attention to a wider set of artists and potentially increases other demands such as artists' merchandise or live performances. However, the study also finds a drop in the repeated play times. So it means people listen to more new artists, but they are not likely to repeat listening to those artists. So famous record labels or companies still concentrate their marketing resources on the top and well-known artists because people are more likely to repeat playing those well-known artists in the end. But some musicians and artists argue that the streaming platforms often offer free membership with ads, meaning you don't have to pay to listen to the music on the platform as long as you don't mind ads playing in between the songs. And that makes people think or have the concept that they can listen to music for free. So some famous artists have actually openly spoken against streaming platforms, such as Taylor Swift, Coldplay, and Adele. And they believe that art is valuable and should be paid for. That's why you might not be able to listen to Taylor Swift's songs if you are a free membership on streaming platforms, or you can't find complete catalogs of those artists' songs, which I think is a fair point because you should be paying for the music that you listen to, especially when the subscription fee is actually not that high. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you only have to pay like $150 monthly, or if you join a family program, you can pay even less. It's actually less than $100 a month, which I think is super inexpensive for listening to all the music on the platforms. So for me, I love listening to music, and I remember going to a huge record store when I was little, and I would save up my allowance money to buy physical albums. So I've always had a soft spot for physical albums. Even though now I use Spotify to listen to music for the majority of the time, I still buy physical albums from time to time if I really do enjoy and love the artists and their work. Physical albums have become some kind of collector's items for me. And I still love going to record stores and finding new albums, even though there aren't many of them anymore. And the record stores now are not as huge as the ones that I went to when I was little. But I still enjoy shopping for physical music in a physical store. So what about you? How do you listen to music? Do you still buy physical music like CDs, cassettes, or even vinyl records? I think cassettes and vinyl records have actually made a comeback recently. Like more and more people like to buy cassettes and vinyl records to collect them or to enjoy the music. Or if you only use music streaming platforms, that's totally okay, by the way, because for someone who doesn't have a CD player or a cassette or a vinyl player, it's much more convenient to just listen to music streaming platforms online in your phone or on your laptop or computer. So feel free to leave your thoughts down in the YouTube comment section or Apple Podcasts review section. And that's all for today's Chatterbox Island English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to our show on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, KKBox, and SoundOn. You can also find our shows on YouTube and go on our website, that's www.eisland.com.tw for more information. I'm your host, Elise, and I'll talk to you soon in the next episode. Bye!